All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We are live. Welcome. And while you're coming in, we're just going to take a few moments to share to our pages. So come on in and make yourself comfortable. While we do that, I'm so excited about this conversation tonight.
Me too.
Let's see. I always had this issue with sharing it. Let's see. Let me get it together. Okay. Get my spelling right because I can't spell. Okay. No, that's not the page. All right. So I got it. Wait, I need to share it to the other page. Hold on just a second. Hello. As you're coming in, come on in and say hello and let us know where you're watching from so we can see who's joining us tonight. All right, just one more second. Okay. All right. There we go. Hold on so I can see. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm sure people will be coming on in or watching the replay. So I am so excited about tonight's conversation. My name is Shavon Carter, and I am the founder of Purpose Publishing Company. And this is our very first episode of Publishing Talks. And so I'm really excited about tonight because I have the pleasure of being joined by my sister, Keah L. Mason, who is also one of Purpose Publishing Company's authors. And she has just released a new book called When Loneliness Visits. So let me give you a little bit of information about who Miss Keah is, and then I'll ask her to share whatever she wants to share with you all tonight. So Keah Mason is an elementary school teacher in Maryland. As an instructional leader, she develops reading curriculum and instructional activities for elementary school students. She is also a certified lead facilitator for Real Women Rock, a nonprofit organization that focuses on the personal growth and development of women. So that's a little bit about Miss Keah formally, and informally, I have known Keah for a number of years. I don't even know how long at this point. We connected in Real Women and gotten to know each other a lot better. We've connected socially, had singles events and stuff like that together. So we've
game
nights, all kind of fun. And now I've had the pleasure of working with her and publishing her second book. So Keah, why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Thank you for having me, Shavon. I appreciate it. I'm so honored to be here. And thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. We're glad that you're spending some of your Wednesday night with us. So, Shavon told you everything just about. I am definitely a school teacher at heart. Y'all pray for us. We are doing the best we can virtually. So even still though, it is still just such a joy, and I am learning so much, and as we all have to be, just able to adapt and go with the flow. This experience I'm sure is teaching all of us that. So that's where my heart is, and now here I am as a writer. So we'll have to figure out how I got there.
Because that is a story in and of itself. So we will talk all about that tonight. So before we get into tonight's discussion, I want to read a summary of Keah's book. So the title of it is When Loneliness Visits. And When Loneliness Visits invites you on a journey through Keah's personal experiences and your own reflections to explore how loneliness can result in negative beliefs, isolation, and toxic behaviors. This book will inspire you to shift from a path of self destruction to a path of self discovery, learning how to confidently address loneliness when it comes to visit. And honey, it will come no matter what phase of life or, relationship status that you're in. So,
Yeah.
Keah, tell us about what prompted you to write this book.
So, interesting story. Back in 2017, I was, I guess, I'll say in the process of becoming a new facilitator for Real Women, which is something else that I don't know how I got there. It happened.
Yeah.
But Trinace was getting ready for an intensive, which is like, she calls it a sister circle on steroids. So it's kind of like, if you've never experienced it, kind of like a retreat / conference, mixed in. And we were having one of those in 2017, and it was, I believe, Real Women on the Journey was the theme. And she wanted me to facilitate for my first time at an intensive. And remember, Shavon, she assigned all of us topics. And I can't remember what anybody else's was.
Me either. I don't even remember what mine was. I have no idea.
So mine that she assigned me was loneliness. And I felt so comfortable talking about it because it was a topic near and dear to my heart. It was something that I felt that I was really comfortable talking about my own experiences with it. And I felt like, taking my experience and then adding it to my role as a teacher, I could present this, right? I can make this like my classroom and engage every audience member and, have everyone participate and be reflective and really think about their experiences. And I remember having like maybe an hour. And I just, after that session, my heart was full, came to the back of the room and hugged all of y'all because I was the rookie. And y'all were like, yeah, you did it. I was so scared. But I was like, oh, there's so much more I wanted to share about loneliness. And so with that, and then the fact that we released Real Women on the Journey, the book, the devotional book, we did that. We all collaborated. 7 of us collaborated together on that project. I was like, Shavon, I think I want to write my own book. And I came to you that January of 2018.
Yeah. And it's so funny how I remember initially you were like, oh, I was just going to take what I had and just give it to you and then you publish it.
Right. I thought that's how it worked.
Oh my goodness. And we found out it was so much more than that. So tell us about your writing journey. Like, what was it like starting out just thinking, okay, I have it already and all I have to do is just give it to her and let her publish it. What was your writing experience like?
I prayed about this, Shavon. You really want me to be honest?
Yes.
No, it was so hard. It was one of the hardest things I've done in life. I had the foundation. I felt like I had the foundation because I was following basically the same format as when I facilitated that session on loneliness. There were 3 major areas in my life that I wanted to focus on and share where loneliness had led me to. But on the flip side, I wanted to share what it could lead me to. So it wasn't all negative, but what other positive things have come about as a result of experiencing loneliness. And then really being able to connect that to all women, because a lot of people associate it with a book for singles. And so
Right.
it's like, oh no, I don't want to read that. I'm not single. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
That's the misconception, because
Exactly.
we all experience it from different angles and in different seasons of life. So I thought that was enough. I thought that's it. I'm gonna do it. I did it.
Uh-huh.
I remember I presented, like I did that,
Yeah.
and so I've already knew what I was gonna say. But then once I started to write it, first of all, writing it is a different way of getting it out than just talking about it in an hour-long presentation,
Right.
right? When you're having to sit down and write it, you're starting to purge and unpack and kind of rid yourself of some things that were buried, in you, and that you've been carrying it for a long time, but just maybe not thinking about it. And then you realize, oh my gosh, this stuff hurts. This stuff still bothers me. Or, oh my goodness, I still do this. Like this, we're not even talking about a long time ago. This is still my life. Or, oh my goodness, my mom's gonna read this, and my family, and like, so you have all of those feelings, and then you have the feelings of, are people gonna read it? To be quite honest with you, because I'm not Oprah, I'm not Michelle Obama. Like, is anyone going to read it? Are they going to be interested? Is it going to connect with them? And are they going to be like, who is she? So you go through this roller coaster of emotions, and I, for 3 years, it just felt like ups and downs and in and outs and highs and lows. So the only word I can say is that it was hard.
Yeah, yeah. And that's one of the thing, and I'm very glad that you were transparent and honest about this process, because it is challenging. And one of the things that we focus on with Purpose Publishing Company, I'm going to talk tonight. I am. Get my words together. But one of the things that we focus on is nonfiction books. So it's really about not just the head of going through the publishing process and getting a nice cover and putting it all together and publishing it, but we also do heart work in Purpose Publishing as well. And that's what we get when we work with our nonfiction authors, because this is your story. You're letting your voice be heard. And like you said, it can be a roller coaster of emotions. Like so many things can come up,
We're just going to take a few moments to share. I'm sorry.
Okay. So many things can come up as a result of telling your story that authors aren't usually prepared for, right? Because it's like you're purging and you don't know what's going to happen, in the midst of this purging. So did you have any writing blocks or increase in emotions? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh my gosh. I did. The first part of the book, as I shared, just as kind of experiences. So it was a bunch of dumping.
Yeah.
And that's what you told me to do that. And then when I got to a point where I was comfortable doing that, and I'm like, all right, I'm just getting it out. It's like you're going in your closet, you just don't take all this stuff out. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And you do all that work to do that, and then you're like, here you go. Jesus, that's what I did. And then the publisher and the editor comes back and they're like, you're like, wait, what? That's what you said to do. Like, what do you mean? That was a lot of work. Because you feel all of that stuff again. And like I said, it still bothers you. And what was the hardest thing for me was the cutting and the editing. Because I want people more than anything to realize, if I can, really transparently share about the writing process, I would encourage anyone, if it's on your heart, be brave.
Absolutely.
Some heart and some bravery, but that cutting is going to feel very restricting, and it's going to feel like you're being censored, and it's going to feel like you're misunderstood, and then you're going to feel like, well, there's something wrong with my story. And how is there something wrong with me telling all this? Because you want me to be transparent, you want me to be authentic, then I got to tell you the whole story. And so learning to navigate, well, what are the most important details versus, what can we just kind of talk about later
Right.
or, whatever. That was hard. And that was the most, it felt offensive,
Yeah.
to me
Yep.
going through it. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm glad you shared that because I remember, so I've written two books myself. So the first one was an inspirational book. So it's similar process. It was my very first book. I had been writing daily inspiration. So I said, oh, why don't I just compile all of them together in a nice little book and then I can publish it. Because one of my mentors and godmother had gave me that idea. So I was like, okay, yeah, it's be great. I'm already doing it. Just put them all
Yeah.
together. And
Yeah.
then when I did that and gave it to an editor, I had all of these comments and I was just, oh my God, I just felt like you
Mhm.
said, just I took it personally. I felt like she didn't understand. And there's so
Mhm.
many things that I went through, so many emotions. And then after I just had to sit, I had to put it down because it was just like it was gut punching and just gut wrenching that I had to experience all of that because I thought I had done something wrong. I don't know how to write and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But then after I went back and looked at the comments, I was like, okay, all right, let me take a deep breath, digest it, and make the necessary corrections. Because what I learned through that was I like to journal and I like to write, but it's different from publishing a book because I'm just writing for me. But writing a book is really about writing for the reader. And
Mm.
that's something that is so tough, especially when you're writing something so personally, so
Mhm.
it can be tough
Mhm.
to shift that perspective on that. So, yeah, if nothing else, I would definitely encourage those first time authors who want to tell your story,
Mhm.
be prepared for taking what you share and everything that you purge to be challenged so that it can be and repackaged.
Wow.
Can, you
That's it. That's
know, yeah,
that's the word.
yeah,
That's the word. And be prepared to know that while you're working on that book, God's gonna be working on you.
yeah,
And you didn't expect that part,
yeah,
because it's like, no, God, you told me to write the book. I mean, I've done like we already did stuff because
yeah,
that's how I know what the second part is about. We've already done that. So what are
mhm,
you doing now? Like,
right,
I
right,
didn't, it's like essentially, it was like writing the book, like writing the story while living the story. And I thought,
yeah,
I had
mm,
the content and
mm,
I didn't. And
yeah.
oh gosh.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes this book so amazing because I have seen a transformation in you. I've seen, the beginning of this process up until where you are now, and it's a beautiful thing to witness. Even though it was painful, but it was beautiful to witness you go through such a transformation and to experience all the things that you've gone through and all the things you wrote about, and then tell about the lessons that you learned from
Mhm.
those things and how you can help somebody else. So I know that people are really going to be encouraged and inspired, by what you have shared in this book. So as we talked about earlier, this book did take 3 years for you to birth from beginning
Yeah.
to end.
Yeah.
How did you stay committed to this process for this period of time?
So, two things come to mind to share about that. And you mentioned earlier, I should have said this earlier, you mentioned like the unpacking part.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll say that at first, that was what, like I said, it was offensive to
Mm-hmm.
me.
Yeah.
Um, that it was like, because it feels like rejection.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, but if I'm being bold enough to share this, why are you rejecting it? Why are you saying it's too much? Why are you saying, it's not appropriately said or, whatever?
Mm-hmm.
But what it is that, and I want people to understand that it may be interested in doing something like this.
Mm-hmm.
All of that initial writing is what, like we said, it's the purging piece, right? That's necessary to get that out of you.
Yep.
And I made peace with that, like within only probably since May of
Mhm,
2020.
mhm.
Um, I stopped feeling attacked by that anymore
Yeah.
because I felt still enough in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, my mom's going to heaven in May of
Yeah.
2020
Mm-hmm.
calmed me down a lot, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and it gave me just a whole new perspective about life. But I stopped feeling offended by that because I saw it like, Keah, you needed to unpack all of that. But I felt like God was saying, just because all of that stuff was in you
Mm-hmm.
does not mean that we gonna just keep it in there in that suitcase because you don't need all that stuff where you're going.
Right.
And so that was when I had that aha moment, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it wasn't that my stuff was bad or not good enough or whatever, but God saying, let me repack this for you.
Yeah.
Or because remember, you guys would not give me answers as to how, what, like just tell me. And you were like, I think you're gonna have to just figure it out. And I was so confused. And so I left it alone for almost a year.
Yeah.
Um, but then once I made peace about that, oh, it wasn't that it was like that, but what it was is God showing me where I'm taking you, you don't need all this. I didn't say you weren't going. I
Yeah.
didn't say I'm still not taking you, but we don't need all of this. And so that was one thing I felt. And
Mm-hmm.
then in terms of what else kept me going, to think about it as you so often put it, as giving birth.
Mm.
When I thought about it from that perspective, because I remember saying to you and the editor, I don't have anything left. I don't
Yeah.
know what else you want me to do. I
Yeah.
have tried. I said the story. I told the story, and that's it. I don't have anything more. And you know, you guys heard me, and you were like, "We'll take it from here. We know your vision, and blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah." But then I thought, like, you know what? If this is my baby, you know, you're going to want to deliver your own baby,
Yep.
you know, and I don't have children, but I think that all women, I think it's safe to say, I believe anyway, that we're all motherly in some way, shape, or form, whether biological or not.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have those instincts to want to be responsible for finishing what we started.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it was just a matter of, you know, I don't know what the outcome is going to be. I don't know if anybody's going to pick it up and read it, but I said I was going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be committed to myself. If
Mm.
nobody reads this book, I have to be committed to saying yes to me because I said I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So Keah, follow through.
Yeah.
Follow through.
Yeah. And I appreciate your level of commitment, even through the ups and the downs when you were lost, didn't understand what was going on. When you're like, I have nothing else to give. I don't know, but just continuing to push through that took a
Yeah.
lot of courage. Like you said, it took a lot of perseverance. And so that's why I know, the outcome of this book is going to be
Yeah.
amazing when people read it.
Yeah.
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 So, what words of encouragement would you give to viewers who are interested in writing a book, but they're afraid to take the first step? Because, like you talked about, step one is saying, hey, I want to write this book. Step two is actually writing and doing the purging. And then step three is like, allowing yourself to go through the editing phase and the revisions and the repackaging and all that stuff. So, what would you say to someone who is just afraid to even get started with the process?
Mm-hmm. Well, if it's something that you're thinking about, it's something that you desire, know that you're enough. Because I think that so much of this process for me was all about confidence. And it was rooted in just doubting that, that my story was worth being told, and so if we've all gone through things, and if we all have different callings for platforms too, not everybody's supposed to be a writer, but if that's what you feel is tugging at your heart, you owe it to yourself to try, to put yourself out there and to just get started. Like, first of all, starting to write isn't going to cost you anything. I would say start the process and then see what comes up for you. See how you feel. And then if you decide, okay, now I want to go to the next step, and it's maybe seeking at that point someone to work with you. Don't be afraid to ask for what you need, but you can't ask for what you need if you don't know what you need. So be upfront, like with yourself, about what it is that you want. If you want somebody walking alongside you on your journey of writing, what does that look like? What does that mean? Somebody's calling to check on you every week? Does that mean you're, having FaceTime, once a week or whatever to go over this chapter? Or, do you want anybody to see it while it's in progress? Think about those things, because I think it helps, to just kind of brainstorm some ideas. Just sit back and ask yourself, what do I want this process to look like? And then when you're shopping around, for a publisher, or even when you're thinking about friends, to ask for accountability and for check-ins and encouragement, things like that, be ready to ask, because for me, I was just like in the corner pouting because nobody was doing what I wanted them to do. But I hadn't asked, I hadn't articulated, what it was that I wanted. I just expected, well, they know me, they know how I am, they know what I need.
They had no idea.
Yeah,
that is so good. So now that you have completed this publishing process, this 3 years, and the ups and downs of it all, what are you most proud of?
I thought I was gonna get through this. When my mom passed in May, I submitted the book to you a few days before she passed. I submitted it for my final time, and I thought, okay, this is it. And then not even a week later, she wasn't here. And then I was like, Shavon can take that book and do whatever with it. I thought that because, if she wasn't going to be here to experience that with me, then it didn't matter. And then something in me was like, does that celebrate her life? Does that honor her? Like, nope. All right. So I remember having a meeting with you and Monica over the summer. Maybe June or July or whatever. And that was my last submission. But you guys were like, but still, blah, 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 blah. And I forgot all of what was said, but I know I didn't like it. And it was like, I'd be daggone. Like, I waited almost a year. I had submitted it the year before, and I had left it alone for a year. So I was like, yo, this gotta be it now, right? And I just lost my mom. Like, are they kidding me? Right. But I remember us, just like, what? We got to regroup. And by that time, I was different, because at first I was defiant and like, nope, I'm not cutting it. No, I want it in there. And but by that time, a calm had came over me because my mom passed, and I wasn't fighting. And I said, okay. And I wasn't stuck on those stories anymore, because I wanted God's will to be done. And it was like, however it's going to be done, I am committed to finishing what I started. So Monica and I took a different approach and went through it together. And we worked together for a couple of months until it was what it is. And so I stopped fighting. So I forgot the question you even asked me.
What you were most proud of.
Oh, so that even in feeling as funky as I felt several times for 3 years, and then the big boom and my mom passing and that she wouldn't be here, that I chose life over sorrow. And I think that what I would want people to know is that my mom was very sick, and I will miss her and grieve her every day of my life. but while grieving, I have to celebrate at the same exact time. And
Yeah.
me staying committed to that book is celebrating, because the only way I can honor her as my mom is by continuing to just be the best daughter that I can. And
Mhm.
so, whatever that looks like, whatever I can do each day, however I can show up and be a reflection of her
Yeah.
and an answer to her prayers,
Yeah.
then I'm happy to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is beautiful to be able to have another reason to celebrate, to have
Yeah,
another reason to stay committed through the process, not just for you, but also in honor of her. And you
yeah,
wrote something in honor of
yeah,
her, you know, in
yeah,
your book, so that you will always have her
yeah,
near you, and have, you know, something that you have published to have her near you as well in honor of her. So,
yeah.
as we're talking about this book, tell us a little bit about When Loneliness Visits. What can we expect? Well, I know what's in it, but what can the readers expect when they read this book?
So I want you to put on the idea of company.
Yeah.
Listen, you know they better call you before they come. So imagine that unexpected guest
Mm,
showing up. Honey, you don't know how long they stand. You don't know why they're there. And how dare they show up unexpected or without calling.
mm, mm,
Imagine that. And those, the feeling that that brings up, that visit brings up for you. And
mm,
imagine loneliness being that visitor that is going to visit at every point in our lives, whether it's because we're single, whether it's because our parents are in heaven, or because we've relocated, or we're empty nesters, or maybe we're divorced, or we're in a wonderful relationship with a significant other but still feel lonely. You know, whatever it is, at some point I can guarantee that you are going to experience loneliness. And what I was just trying to convey, and what I wanted to reflect on for myself, is that I feel this way often, and it sucks.
mhm,
Not that I'm experiencing it, but because of the choices I am making as a result of how I feel. I
mm,
am not making healthy choices. And because I'm not making healthy choices, I'm not living the best life that I can live. Like, I'm not my best self, because I feel this way. I'm doing this and I'm doing this, and it's not working for me. I am not happy, and I'm not less lonely either. You
yeah.
know, so facing that, you know, and owning that and acknowledging that is what I have done in the book, but as well as discussed how my journey just ended up shifting,
Mhm,
not because of a circumstantial shift in my life,
mhm.
because I'm still single, if you were wondering. No, I'm just I am single, but you're silly, but I am still single and I don't have any children. So that hasn't changed. But there is a peace in my life now
Mhm.
because of the shift in perspective
Yeah.
and how I view that unwanted guest in my life.
Yeah. And I love that you titled the book When Loneliness Visits, right? And
Mhm.
it's that unexpected visitor, because, like you said, all of us experience it. And it's not something that we can control. Like, that
Yeah,
person can pop up, loneliness can pop up at any given moment. And it's all about how do we respond to it. You
yeah,
know, and like
yeah,
you said, sometimes we cope with it in ways that are not serving us. And then we start to feel guilty and shame for that. And then, but we can choose, you know, another
right,
way of being with loneliness that can bring about so much more peace that you talk about. So
right.
we're not going to give it away. You're going to have to buy the book.
Yes, please.
Yes, so the book will be available February 22nd. So you can pre-order it now at purposepublishingcompany.com /Keah Mason. And you can pre-order the book. Once it is released, it will be available on Amazon, Kobo, Apple Books, and Google Books. So we're really excited about the release of this, but you can pre-order now so that you can get your copy, you know, get yourself a spot in this line so that you can get it and share all about, what you get from it. And we do invite you, once it is available on Amazon, to leave a review. Let other readers know what you're getting from the book so that they can be encouraged to read it as well.
Yeah. And be ready to do the work while
Mm-hmm.
you're reading the book. It's not just me sharing, but it's interactive.
Yeah.
I like to consider it a workbook as well. So get you a journal, honey, and your favorite pens, and be ready to be going through the process as well for yourself.
Absolutely. And you wrote this book from the perspective of a woman, but if a man is watching this, you can purchase this book too, even though it talks about from a woman's
Absolutely.
perspective and has things that are specific to women. Men can benefit from this book too. So I would love to
Absolutely.
see a man's perspective, on this book and share what
Yeah.
they got from it as well.
Me
If
too.
nothing else, it can really help you to understand women even more and what we go through, or you
Yeah.
may be able to relate to your own feelings of loneliness and what you
Yeah.
go through. So, yeah, absolutely. So, in our last little moments together, Keah, tell us what you have coming up next. How can we find you on social media? All that good stuff.
So I'm on Facebook. Keah L Mason is my page. I'm on Instagram, and that's just Keah Mason. And I'm on Twitter as well, Keah L Mason. YouTube channel, Keah Mason.
Oh, that's right. Branding.
So I am, yes, I'm there. But what's coming up next? My birthday is next week. So I would love for you all to help me celebrate my last year in my 30s
Ooh, enjoy it. Yes.
by purchasing a book. So as Shavon mentioned, the website to purchase, please purchase a book. If you know someone that may be interested, share this information with them as well. I just believe that it is something that'll help everybody. So next week, if you've been following me the last 2 weeks, like last week was all about getting to know me as an educator and as a facilitator, as a teacher, and as a writer now this week, right? And, just what has inspired me is coming up next week. So I have some beautiful tributes coming up that I'll be sharing that I'm so excited to share, and other testimonials of people that have read the book and they've reviewed the book, and other people that have worked closely with me. Just showing their love and support, and I'm so excited to share all of those things.
Yeah, yeah. So make sure you check her out on Facebook and Instagram and follow her so that you can keep up with what's going on with her and this amazing book. So, like we said, go to www.purposepublishingcompany.com/Keah, Keah Mason, so that you can pre order the book When Loneliness Visits. So thank you so much, Keah, for being my first guest on Publishing Talks. I
Thank you
appreciate
for
you.
having me. This was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So stay tuned to future episodes as more authors come out. We do have a few more authors that we will be debuting this year, working on their projects, and we are finalizing some amazing books just like Keah's. So stay tuned for more information about those amazing authors and their books. And until next time, good night.
Good night.